What is up, guys? How are we doing today? It is Friday, March 13th, and today I'm going to be going over the two trades I took. The first trade was a super clean long, and the second one was a break-even trade. We also had 10 a.m. news today, however, it didn't influence the charts that much. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So coming into the market, I'm slightly leaning bullish already. Why? Because we have a 4-hour fair value gap right here that never got tapped into. And we have another 4-hour fair value gap right here, which got tapped into, but it never closed below. So we're still respecting this. We have a ton of stacked highs up here. And as you can see on the higher time frame fair value gap, we are pushing off of this and clearly going to bounce up. And going to the 1-hour time frame, we can see we have this major bearish fair value gap. And this gap has not been mitigated yet, so I really would like to see price tap into that. And under us, we have this bullish fair value gap. So my immediate thought is, okay, I want to see price tap back into this bullish fair value gap and either take out this high, or I would want to see price immediately shoot up first. We tap into this bearish unmitigated gap, and then we take shorts from there. And then we started accumulating in the pre-market and ended up sweeping the pre-market lows. And then at market open, we ended up forming this SMT. And if we hop on ES, we can clearly see that they didn't take out those pre-market lows. So if we go back to NQ, so it's 9:36, it's a few minutes after market opens, and as you can see, price manipulates down into the hourly bullish gap, and we have the SMT formation. And as you can see right here, we created a 1-minute inversion. Now, like I said in the intro, I wanted to tap into this gap and I wanted to look for continuations long. So now looking for actual targets, if we look in the hourly time frame, you can see we have this 1-hour bearish fair value gap, and this is my main target. It's unmitigated, it hasn't been tapped into, so we know that price wants to reach here eventually. Now, the hourly unmitigated gap was my main target. Now, since we were trading in a premium and we had all these gaps below us that we could have tapped into and then take continuations off of that, I didn't want to see my main target be this hourly unmitigated gap, because that would have pushed my RR to being a little bit too high for what my strategy really risks. So instead of deciding to target the hourly unmitigated gap, I decided to target the buy side liquidity from the swing highs we had earlier. And if we go in the 15-minute time frame, we can see that we have relative equal highs right here. So that is what I decided to trade into, and that was my main target. And as you can see on the next candle, we get huge displacement. And one thing when we're looking for continuation longs is that we want to see this candle displace very heavily. If our candle would have closed around here just barely above the fair value gap, it would have made our conviction a lot lower that price really wanted to push up. However, since we got that huge candle and that huge momentum, we have a lot more confidence that price wants to continue up. So right at that close, this is where I had my entry. I had my stop loss at the bottom of the candle, and I had my target at the relative equal highs above. Like I said earlier, this 1-hour unmitigated gap was my main target. However, I just decided to play it safe and target the equal highs in this buy side liquidity instead, just because we were in a little bit too much of a premium. So after the close, let's just see how the trade plays out. Boom, boom, boom. And boom, right there, we smacked through our TP, a 2.5-hour trade. We had a great B+ setup, I would say, just because we were in a little bit of premium. If we were in a little bit more of a discount, I would say that was A+. But look, it can't get easier than that. We tapped into that hourly bullish fair value gap, and we took our continuations long to the unmitigated gap above us. And if you wanted to play it safe like me, you could have gotten the 2.5 RR at the equal highs or the buy side liquidity, or you could have targeted the hourly unmitigated gap, whichever you prefer. This is a perfect ideal setup. It couldn't have got much easier than this. We had all the conviction we needed that price wanted to go up, and we took that immediately. So for the second position, we actually ended up taking a short. And this is because right now we already pushed up. We pushed to our target at the hourly unmitigated bearish gap. And since this was a bearish gap and we are respecting this, I wanted to see price lower and inverse this gap that we created right here. Now, in the introduction of the video, I was saying how we were bouncing between two prices. We had our hourly bearish on the top and our hourly bullish on the bottom. And now that we swept that bullish and we took it to the hourly bearish, I want to see price retrace back down and take us lower. So after our take profit smacked the hourly mitigated gap, we kept pushing up a little and pushing down. And if we take a look at the 5-minute time frame, we can see that we created this gap right here. However, from this position, I would have not been opposed to going long from here. Why? Because if we zoom out, we have all this buy side liquidity above us. And if we go into the hourly time frame, we still had this hourly bearish that we tapped into right now. But if we ended up getting a closure and displacing through this, we could have easily targeted our buy side liquidity up here, equal highs all the way up here. All these would have been great targets. Now, if we got that closure above the hourly unmitigated gap, I would have been looking for longs. However, since we did tap into this gap, I could have seen price reject and start manipulating down. And what did we create? We created that 5-minute fair value gap I was talking about earlier. So now I'm looking for a displacement down and I'm looking for a closure below this gap. Now, if we do get that closure, I'm going to be looking to target this hourly gap. Why? This hourly gap below us is unmitigated and hasn't been tapped into, meaning this is a very strong magnet for price. So this is going to be my main target. So these are the two positions I wanted to see play out. We could have either taken a long position after closing above the hourly bearish gap, or we could take short to the 1-hour unfilled gap if we get displacement through this and close below the gap. Now on the 1 minute, we had multiple fair value gaps, same with the 2 and 3. However, the 5-minute time frame was the highest time frame inversion we had. So now I'm only going to be waiting for a 5-minute candle to close below this. And originally price started going up. However, it did take a few minutes. We bottom wicked this, and then that fifth candle ended up closing. So we created the gap at 9:45 and didn't get a closure until 15 minutes. We could have potentially gotten an entry if we took a short off a lower time frame. However, since a 5-minute was the highest time frame inversion we had, I'm going to wait till the 5-minute candle closes. I'm not going to be greedy and try to look for a 1-minute or 30-second off of that. 20 minutes later, the gap finally gets displaced through, and this is where I have my entry. I had the stop loss at the top of this wick, and I had my take profit at the hourly unmitigated gap. Now this gives us a clean 1 risk reward ratio trade. And for the first 2 5-minute candles, so 10 minutes in this trade, it was looking pretty solid. I really thought we were going to dump, but at the same time, I had an alert on ES that if it tapped into that hourly gap, then I would put my break even. And if we switch over to ES right now, we can see that we ended up displacing through this hourly for value gap. And I'm on the hourly time frame in replay mode, so I can't really show you the candle before. However, we originally started this candle up here, and it started pushing down, and once it swept that hourly gap, that's when I had my break even. So on the 1-minute time frame, it was right here at 10:17. We ended up sweeping that. So I'm back on NQ and I'm on the 1-minute time frame instead. And this is at 10:17. This is when I got the alert that ES swept that gap. So at that point, that was my break even, and I moved my stop loss down to entry. And what ends up happening, if we go back to the 5-minute, you can see that price just shot up and we did not end up getting this trade. Now, this was a great short in my opinion. Although it was break even, a break even is still a W in my books. But we had all the conviction. We tapped into hourly bearish gap when we wanted to see price continue down, especially with ES, especially with all the bearish SMT formations on ES and NQ. This was a good trade, and even though it didn't hit, not everything hits, but the idea was there. And yeah, you can't win them all, but that was the second idea I had. I would show you guys my executions. However, they're just not popping up. I think it's because it signed me out of Tradeovate. But if you want to see proof, I posted it on my Instagram story. But yeah, those are the 2 trades you took. I hope you like this recap. That first trade rewarded us like 350, and across 5 other accounts, that's around 1,500 to 2,000, something like that. I need to double check my trade copia. And then that second even was break even. A break even is always going to be a W in my books. You can't win them all, but as long as the idea was there, we had conviction, we had all our conditions met, it was a very solid play in my book, and I'm not mad at it at all. That first trade was like 5 minutes within market opening, and that second one was around like 10:10, 10:20-ish. But yeah, it's Friday. It's a great way to start the weekend. I'm about to go get some lunch, go on a little swim, and yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. If you like this video, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, share. Whatever you can do really helps, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.